Hello. We started a new novel this week. It is titled Scraps of Time 1960 Abby Takes a Stand. If you've been absent, this is a good way for you to kind of not fall behind on the story. So I'm going to read it to us, just the chapters that we've gone over so far. It starts off with a prologue before the story actually starts. And one thing that I want to point out is this prologue is in current time. And then the story, once it starts on chapter 1, is kind of like a flashback of our main character's life. So our main character's name, as we know from the title, is Abby. Well, in the prologue, Abby is a grandmother, and she is in the attic with her grandchildren. So I'm going to go ahead and start there. The prologue is titled In G's Attic. The way back place was what Maddie Ray called the attic in G's big white house. It was where her grandmother kept shoes, books, furniture, army medals, and trophies, boxes full of clothes, and cartons of old toys. There was all kinds of stuff that once belonged to people in their family who had lived way back a long time ago. Most of them had died before Maddie Ray or her cousin Aggie and Trey were born. Everything up here is part of the past. They are all scraps of time, G told them as she switched on the light. Then she turned on the ceiling fan to get the air moving. I want you all to help make a scrapbook. The attic smelled old with a hint of mothballs. Aggie loved the smell, but it made Trey sneeze. He had allergies. This whole attic is like a big scrapbook, said Aggie. Maddie Ray spotted a menu. It was a shiny plastic and decorated with little monkeys swinging from hoops. She picked it up. Across the top, in fun lettering, was the name The Monkey Bar. This looks like a good scrap, she said. G laughed. Funny you picked up that old menu. It's from a restaurant that was in Nashville, Tennessee. That's where you lived once, right? Trey asked. Yes, that's right. The restaurant closed years ago. But in 1960, it was the place children wanted to go, especially if you were 10 years old like a girl named Abby. That's your name, said Aggie. G closed her eyes and sighed. So that prologue is a scene from G's attic. G is the grandmother. And so now we're going to move into chapter 1. And chapter 1 is like a flashback of G, Abby's life. Okay? So that's what's happening. Chapter 1 is titled Best Friends. Quick, Mr. Ford, what's the date today? Abby asked. Mr. Ford looked surprised, but he checked a calendar tacked on the wall above the cash register. February 2nd, 1960. On cue, Abby and her best friend Patsy slapped each other's hands. Then they clapped twice, snapped their fingers 3 times, and touched elbows. What's happening? They asked together. You've got it, they answered, pointing to each other, then burst out laughing. Mr. Ford laughed too and shook his head. He had seen this routine before. This was the girls' special greeting. What he didn't know was why. Abby and Patsy had made it up after sitting through the sci-fi thriller Invasion of the Body Snatchers 4 times. I'll know if an alien takes over your body if we add a move that only the 2 of us know about, Patsy had said. On odd-numbered days, we'll snap our fingers 2 times, she suggested. And on even-numbered days, we'll snap 3 times. Yes, that'll trick an alien, said Abby. It was their secret. So far, nobody had figured it out. Patsy was the best friend. She loved scary movies, and she knew how to keep a secret. Nothing was more fun than trading comic books, riding their bicycles, eating dill pickles with candy canes stuck in the middle, and of course, just about everything else. How will I last 2 weeks without you, girl? Abby asked. They had met at Mr. Ford's for a farewell milkshake. Patsy's grandmother, who lived in Washington, D.C., had been sick. Patsy's family was going to stay with her for a while. I'm going to miss you so much, Abby added. Patsy was busy buying school supplies to take to Washington. Her mama was a teacher, and she was making sure Patsy stayed on top of her lessons. Girl, you've got to see the red and white pencils over there. They look like candy canes, Patsy said. I knew you'd like those pencils, Mr. Ford said, chuckling. Red and white being your school colors and all. He went back to stocking canned goods. Patsy picked out pens, paper, and a package of the special red and white pencils. Then she turned to Abby. I don't think they're here. Abby knew exactly what Patsy was looking for, a big blue notebook. They'd seen it advertised in the last issue of Teen Magazine. The big blue binder was extra large with pockets for loose papers in the front and back. It came with 5 dividers with plastic tabs in bright colors, one for each subject. But what made it special was its bright blue cloth cover. It was perfect, and it would make them stand out from the other girls in 5th grade. They'd each save money to buy one. Mr. Ford looked around his shop. There was items on shelves and tables from floor to ceiling. He sold everything from groceries to jewelry, and from hand-packed ice cream to fresh fish. He had so much crammed in his little shop, it was hard to find anything, but if you asked, Mr. Ford generally knew where everything was. He said, thinking, I'm not sure if I have any blue binders, but I do have black and red ones for sure. The girls already had black binders. They knew what they wanted. Nothing else would do. Patsy's eyes brightened. Hey, maybe I can find a big blue while I'm at Granny's house. Abby didn't have any relatives who lived out of town. All her family lived in Nashville. Aunt Mittie, Mama's sister, Uncle Big John, and her favorite cousin John lived next door. Although he was 18 years old and in college, Abby liked being around John. He was like a big brother. After Patsy paid for their supplies, the girls flopped down on one of the 2 stools at the small counter. A strawberry shake, please, Abby said to Mr. Ford. Promise to write? Asked Patsy. Why? Nothing exciting ever goes on around here. They watched Mr. Ford make the shake. He never rushed to do anything. Slowly he took the vanilla ice cream out of the freezer. Then he dug out 3 scoops and added 6 plump, fresh strawberries. After adding a bit of milk, he zapped the mixture in the blender and poured it into 2 big glasses. The shake was so thick and creamy, Abby always ate hers with a spoon. As they were leaving, Mr. Ford called to Abby. Tell me the name of that notebook again. Big Blue. It's the latest, it's the greatest, Abby shouted. That's the end of chapter 1.